I was following. I don't have ESPN Plus, so I was not watching the game last night. But I was following your Twitter account at Frog Preacher, and you seemed less than enthused with the performance by the men's team.
It wasn't great. It's interesting to say that after a 24 point
23,
win,
yeah.
that it wasn't great, but truly lackluster, sleepy kind of performance from the Frogs. It was a little interesting to see that after losing to Michigan on the road. I thought they would come out and play pretty well, take care of a team that was the second worst shooting team in Division I entering Tuesday night in Alcorn State. But really interesting first half. They shot the ball well. They think they shot 56% from the floor in the first half, but they turned it over 9 times. They gave up 12 offensive rebounds for the game, ended up losing the rebounding battle to an Alcorn State team that doesn't have anybody over 6'8". So some things to clean up there. Really didn't do themselves any favors in this win. But the good news, I think, is that they have a week off until they play on Thanksgiving Day, and there's some time to get Ernest Uday back in the lineup. He's missed the last 2 games with a lower back injury. He should be back for their trip out to Palm Springs, California next week, and I think that'll shore up some of those issues. But the reality is that this team isn't going to do much this year if they play down to their opponents like they did on Tuesday. So some things to kind of be concerned about, but you got a couple lightweights coming up on the schedule that you should be able to get right against.
Who's the best athlete ever from Alcorn State?
Oh gosh, why are you doing this? It wasn't anybody on the court Tuesday night. I can tell you that.
Not a basketball player. Not a basketball player.
Who is it?
Steve McNair.
Oh, duh. Of course.
Duh.
Yes. Absolutely.
It is in Alcorn, Mississippi, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that there was a town called Alcorn, Mississippi. So, All right. Okay, so we're going to keep working backwards. Women's basketball Sunday. We just had Mark Campbell on. I love talking to him. He is so fun to talk to about basketball and so much energy. What did you see in that 76-73 W?
I saw a team that, despite all of the stars and the scoring ability, really kind of won with their defense down the stretch. They didn't score a ton of points in the last 2 minutes, saw their lead kind of dwindle, and still managed to hold on. Did a really good job of executing on the final defensive possession, using some of those fouls to give, forcing a tough look from NC State. And so it was nice to see that even when the offense wasn't clicking all the way, they can still rely on the defensive side of the court to get a win against a really good program. But beyond that, when Sedona Prince is playing like she did on Sunday afternoon, this team's going to be almost impossible to beat. She had the mid-range jump shot working. She dropped 31 points. She pulled down 16 rebounds. She was affecting shots left and right in the paint. NC State just did not have an answer for her. She hit a Dirk one-legged fadeaway over a defender at one point. Like it was a really nice performance from Sedona. She earned AP National Player of the Week because of it. And when you have a mismatch like that down low, not to mention Hailey Van Lith and all the shooting they've got, it's going to put you in a really good position more often than not. And so her on the defensive end, and then obviously the double-doubles from her and Hailey carried the team. But beyond just that game, I think we really got a good gauge for the ceiling of this team right now. And I think it's higher than maybe even I thought it was, just because of the way they went about winning that game when they didn't have their best day. Now they get some more tests coming up here with Notre Dame, South Carolina. Then you get into conference play where there are a bunch of ranked teams as well. Can you stay healthy? Can you continue to improve executing? And how far can you go in the tournament when that time comes?
Yeah, that'll be an interesting game in Grand Cayman. Coach Campbell invited everybody to go if they can make it. So
on the team plane, I'm sure. And
let me just get a ticket real quick. I'm sure it's a cheap one on late notice. But he compared Sedona Prince to Nikola Jokic. Yeah. So
okay.
He was like,
I can see that. The thing about Jokic that makes him that makes him unique is the ball handling and passing. And I think that she's close when she's got the ball in the paint. I'm not as sure. Obviously, I mean, she's in college still, and he's a three-time MVP or whatever. But I can see it. I can see it a little bit. She definitely showed off the mid-range jumpers on Sunday, stretched the floor. And if you look at the last play on offense where TCU got their last bucket that Taylor Bigby got, part of the reason she had such an open look at the rim was because Sedona had pulled her defender out of the paint. She had made 5 or 6 of those mid-range jumpers, and so the center from NC State had to respect her and move out of the lane, and that cleared things up for Taylor to get to the rim and get that layup. So, I can see she's got a lot of gravity to her, kind of like Jokic does.
Yeah,
and I can see that comparison for sure.
My favorite thing in the NBA is when Jokic brings the ball up the floor. I think it's fantastic. It is my favorite thing. I laugh every time, and he's great with it. That's the thing. Yeah. He's really, really good. Yeah,
he's kind of loping. He's not. He's what Dirk used to say about himself is, I never slowed down because I was always slow twitch. It feels like Nikola Jokic is kind of in that same cut as well. He's never moving fast, but he's always moving somewhere.
Yeah. You didn't go to the presser yesterday. Brent Matisic talked, and we just had him on. It's a pretty cool story. I think I didn't really say this. I didn't say this to him, but this is kind of like, this is what college football, this is what you're supposed to get from college athletics. Stories like this guy who has fought and stayed in one place, switched positions, and become like a prospect.
Yeah, 6 years in one place is almost unheard of now. And for him to stick it out and change positions and kind of just grind until he had his opportunity, it's really cool to see, because you don't know what lies on the other side of the transfer portal. I mean, there are a number of kids every year who think that they're just going to go into the portal and find a better situation and have more playing time, and that's not the case for everybody. So for him to stick it out and grind it out and earn 2 degrees, I think, from TCU is a really cool story. Not to mention, he was a part of a really fun national championship year. He was the long snapper on the bazooka on the Brazos, that field goal against Baylor. It's a really cool story. He's a good dude, one of the leaders, one of the captains on the team, and it'll be fun to see him play in the Carter one last time on Saturday during senior day.
Yeah. All right. So the Frogs, 2 games left on the football field. I'm sure they can beat Cincinnati, win at Cincinnati, but if you want to improve your bowl standing, you really got to win this game Saturday.
You do. I mean, Arizona's had a rough season. They're 4-6. They beat the brakes off Houston last week. TCU lost to Houston. They probably should have won that game too. But this is a team that has become really one-dimensional offensively. It's Noah Fafita and Ted McMillan. That's it. Yeah. Really, they can't run the football. They don't have many other wide receiver options. The defense, aside from the Houston game, has kind of been getting carved up, especially against the run. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of Savion Williams Wildcat stuff the Frogs can pull out to maybe get the running game going a little bit on Saturday. But this is a game you have to win. You have to carry some momentum. You won 3 out of your 4 after the first bye week. You got 2 games after this bye week. You got to go get them both. Get to 8-4, which, by the way, is what I said this team would be at in preseason. And so you get to 8-4, and all of a sudden you're feeling a lot better about things. You showed a lot more in the back 6 games than you did in the front 6. And I think the fan base will have been, mollified a little bit from the going 5-1 after the first bye, but you still got to take care of business against both these teams, even though Arizona doesn't look great and Cincinnati looks like they're coming back to earth a bit. Just go take care of business, get your 2 wins to close out the season, and see where you go for a bowl game.
Where do you want to go for the bowl game?
That's a good question. I don't think Alamo Bowl is realistic at this point, although I always love going to San Antonio. But here's the thing, Jeff. If they go to the Guaranteed Rate Bowl in Phoenix, where the media hotel is, because it's the same one as the Fiesta Bowl.
Oh yeah, the JW Desert Inn, or not the Desert Inn, Camelback, JW Camelback,
Camelback Desert Inn. Yeah, sign me up.
Not the Desert Inn. Again. Desert Inn is up north.
No. Saddleback
JW Marriott
Resort
Camelback. I know it's the same one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Sign me up for that.
That's great.
Sign me up for that media lounge again.
Yeah, the Fiesta Bowl people run that bowl, and they know they're like old school bowl people. Mm-hmm. They're probably bribing people and all that stuff. They give us good. You wore the pullover last week from the Fiesta Bowl. I still have it mine. I probably still have some of the beers around my belly that we drank that week, and. That's got to be the choice. Nobody wants to go to Houston. I mean,
Houston sucks. Everything about Houston
Tanner,
sucks.
You're not from Houston, are you? Okay, good.
Okay, good. Tanner's clears, but
no
zoning clause.
This is pretty good. I don't know if you heard this or not, but Matisic was talking about his brother in Waco, and he was saying he called it, comparing the campuses. He said Waco's like a prison. And he didn't know that that Tanner here went to Baylor. So I don't think that
I might disagree with him, but it's okay.
Well, I dated a girl at Baylor for a little while, and I can confirm what Matisic was talking about. It's very jail-like down there.
Come on.
A lot of shivs and bad meals, prison tats. All right. Yeah, that's what happens down there with those Baptists. You got to watch out for them.
Early curfews, too.
So
brutal.
What else do we got? We got soccer. They play Friday. Penn State. In Tallahassee. I think the last time they went to a second round, it was at Notre Dame, and it like snowed and was very, very cold, and they beat Michigan State and then got beat by Notre Dame. But I just trying to trying to get them all in here. Do the Frogs have a chance?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at the score from their first round game and you're like, oh, they only beat SFA 1-0. That's not very impressive. But the reality is their SFA's goalkeeper played out of her mind. Little 5'9" true freshman who made, I think, 10 saves, a career high for her.
Oh, geez.
TCU easily could have won that game 4-0, 5-0 with the looks that they had. Penn State won their first round game 8-1. I could see this being like a 3-2, 4-3 kind of soccer game, and just whoever has the last opportunity to score maybe comes away with it. But yeah, TCU can compete. They've got the horses. They've got the depth. They can score from a variety of different areas. And I think they're looking forward a little bit to the opportunity beyond Penn State to get another shot at Florida State, because they played an exhibition with Florida State before the season started and kind of got roundhouse kicked by Florida State there a little bit. So maybe want a little get back at the Seminoles, but you got to take care of Penn State first. But yeah, I think they've got every opportunity, every capability of beating Penn State and moving on.
All right. So what do we got coming up at 247 Sports? What are you working on? Basketball? They don't need a basketball. Basketball tomorrow for the girls.
It's the field trip day.
That's right.
We were talking to Hailey and Sedona after the win on Sunday, and I think one of the questions was about, hey, this is obviously a really big win. How long do you let yourself kind of ride this high before you get back into being locked in? You got more games, all this stuff, and they're like, oh, we kind of expected to compete and win, so we're not really riding too high. We'll celebrate for a little bit, and then at the end of the presser, cameras had kind of turned off. And Sedona realized that their next game was at noon. It's at noon on Thursday against Incarnate Word. She goes, wait, is that the field trip game? And yes, because all these elementary schools bring all these girls to the field trip game, and it's like the highest pitch volume of a fan arena that you will ever experience. And so she's just kind of put both hands in her face. And I think she had fully gotten over the win at NC State right at that moment.
Snap back to reality.
Snap back, locked back in again. So yeah, the field trip game is coming up on Thursday. They play Idaho State on Sunday before they go to the Cayman Islands. And the men have a long break, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it is.
So, we're wrapping up football season over 24/7. We're getting ready for early signing day. December 4th is when early signing day happens for football. So look for TCU to sign a lot of those kids. They got, I think, 13 or 14 of those kids are going to early enroll. Right now, they're the 20th rated class in the country, according to our metrics. They just added a flip from Arizona, Terry Shelton, who is the number 71 overall recruit, number 12 wide receiver for the 2025 class. And his comp at the college level, ironically enough, is Tat McMillan. So might get a little preview of what TCU is bringing into their 2025 class if you watch the best Arizona receiver in this game coming up on Saturday afternoon as well.
You don't see a lot of Terrys anymore, so that's good.
It's a fun name.
Comeback. Terry needs a comeback.
Every time I hear Terry now, I think of that video. Back it up, Terry, the guy in the wheelchair who's lighting the fireworks. Back it up, Terry. Put it in reverse.
Poor Terry. All right. Hey, everybody, go subscribe to Jamie's podcast and vote for him to grow his beard back. And we'll see him next week with probably looks like he's been on a bender for a few days. So
yeah, a little bit of stubble.
All right, Jamie. Thanks again. As always, we'll see you next week.
We all silly like the mayor.